Today we are at Smaragd Wines and we had a beautiful tasting some of the finest wines of South Africa with Charla and Sijnn Wines. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, Charla, and the gentleman next to you who can also tell us a little bit about Smaragd Wines. But we start with Charla first.
My name is Charla and I'm the winemaker at Sijnn Wines in Netherlandsz. I've been working there for 9 years, almost 10 years now, doing winemaking, viticulture, a little bit of everything, and just making some interesting things from a terroir that is just really unique. Here I am in the Netherlands, my favorite place.
And Martijn?
Owner of Smaragd Wines, started 15 years ago. After a sommelier career, sourcing artisanal wines all over the world. The main focus is Europe and South Africa. Had the luck to find Charla covered in the dust in the cellar. Long time ago we were digging the ferment vats. There was no electricity those days in Malgas, but but we love to source and to work together with young talented winemakers that crafting something from ecological landscape. So it's not only about the viticulturists, but it's the landscape, it's the people, and that's I think that reflects to Sijnn as well for me.
Okay. So before I go back to Charla, Martijn, obviously you, like every importer, make some conscious choices. This project, there's more than one project now, but Sijnn is something that started literally out of nothing, when there was nothing in Malgas. Maybe you can bring us a little bit back to how you got involved into Malgas and that project.
The best things I found is tipped by people who are visiting the country. So this was the coincidence that I was tipped by another South African winemaker about Sijnn, and at the same moment I'm in a restaurant and there's someone who's flying for KLM who dropped a bottle at the restaurant because he know the importer of the restaurant loved South African wine. They said, "This is something I found, you really should try," and that happened in the same week.
Amazing.
So that was really like. So I called David Treffer, the owner, and I said, "David, listen, I'm coming in 5 or 6 weeks to South Africa. Please, if any other Dutch importer call, don't take the call.
Keep the door closed.
I will be your importer." So this is how it started, and that's I think since the 12 vintage, and we have the 21s here. So since a long time, and wines are very well received and discussed with me. The low profile, the white and the red, quite popular, as well as the new varietals, and of course the Haasbroek wines are adapted by the sommeliers that most specifically the people you've met during your visit. So for me it's a unique winery, crafted from scratch. That's something unique. Huh?
That's interesting because you sort of grew into this partnership together, but you grew into the winery together with her as you entered in I think 2014 it was?
Yes, literally.
So that was like an adventure that you both did together as well.
We were both very young those days.
I know. Now we're talking like old people.
No, but it's for me it was obvious, that it was a very cool winery, and if you see the landscape, then for me was directly something special. And the thing is, the drive from the national highway to the winery is like 40 minutes covered in roads with dust, and you really feel you're arriving on the special places. The longer it takes, the more mythical it gets.
So it's really worth the travel and the hard work to get there.
I think Michelin said it's worth a trip, so it's 2 stars.
Very good. Yeah. So with that, Charla, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Malgas first, and then because we already get a teaser here from Martijn, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about what makes that place so beautiful.
Well, there's no one around us. I think that's the first thing, is the isolation. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's 3 hours away from Cape Town and Stellenbosch, just off the big N2, which is the national road, on a very bad dirt road that a lot of people are now taking. But I think initially people were wondering why on earth, what on earth, who on earth, and I think that's what makes it really special, is that, people are now taking the trip out to go to Malgas. Malgas has become a destination, which I think is incredible from when I started to now, just the growth. We used to only be open on Saturdays and no one would really pitch, and now we have someone who full-time works in the tasting room Monday to Saturday, and so that's incredible to see the growth. But yes, in the middle of nowhere, an hour from Swellendam, so that's the closest town, which is also very, I think it was found by the Dutch. And yeah, so just a unique area, a very Mediterranean climate, so dry, very little rainfall, and then just interesting soils, and I think that's what drew David Trafford there. And they used to truck the grapes to Stellenbosch, and then when I started there, and that's how Martijn found me as well, I was building where we ferment the red grapes at this stage. Now we've got a home for the wines, and Malgas has turned into something more than just a rural little town in South Africa.
So, like you said, it's a destination now, and we also heard that quite some Dutch people are visiting you. So probably that's also due to Martijn's efforts, because the wines need to be tasted first to get enthusiastic.
I think if you taste the wines, I think a lot of people will find it interesting to see where it's from, because the story is unique. But then as well, that David had the option to plant varieties like Touriga, Trigadera, except for Shiraz. That's interesting. And then you had a chance to do a second plantation round, that you can optimize the varieties as well. I think that's something unique. And what I found some challenging for South African wine industry is that there's one winery crafting 14 varieties, and then you can buy the Sauvignon, the Chardonnay, and the Viognier, but it's not like you combine Loire, Burgundy, and South France in once. For me, it was important.
For you, it's good as an importer because you have.
I hate it. I just want to focus for wineries, So, and here's the Mediterranean focus with the Chenin and the Portuguese varieties that's stepping out. And on this way, for me, it's a unique winery because we can select many wineries from South Africa, but we're looking for something that's really unique, And this is many boxes to tick. Why it's a unique winery. That was for me important.
I understand that story because we did the tasting, obviously, and you, Charla, explained how it got together and how the starting point is the blends. But then going to the blends, you have the single varietals as well. But there was always the idea of picking a number of Mediterranean varietals and making those blends. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the choices, because Martijn already mentioned a little bit about the varieties and how they've been picked and chosen, and how it's evolving even.
So first plantings were 2004, and first vintage, so the first wine that was made was 2007. So it's basically 20 years now that we've had vines in the ground. Mediterranean focused, so for the whites it's Chenin Blanc, Viognier, Roussanne, Verdelho, Vermentino, and then we've planted some Assertico recently, which is, I'm really excited to start working with that, and in 3 years time we'll have our first vintage, which I can't wait for. And then as I said, the focus is producing the best right blend of that, but also showing you what the soils can do with Chenin, and interesting, comparing, not wanting to compare, but I think that's where we go to see how it differs from Swartland and Stellenbosch and the rest of South Africa. And then for the reds, Syrah, Mourvedre, Touriga Nacional, Trincadera, Cabernet, recently planted Grenache, Tempranillo, Barbera, Malbec, those are a lot of grapes, but I think the wine as a whole just portrays so much, and the varietals are extremely interesting, and it speaks of the sense of place, but together it's just this really complex blend, and that's kind of what we want to show.
Complex, but also on the other hand they're I would say not easy to consume, but they're friendly to consume, so you don't have to wait like ages as sometimes you see.
Wines are the vines get older, the wines show more elegant, but there's a very good concentration on inside. The first vintages was way more new oak in the wines, and that was you could taste it really well. Young vines and new oak was very tasty, but I think the style nowadays is way more
delicate.
reflective.
I think it's unfocused.
is terroir. Now you see the terroir coming.
Exactly.
That's for me. That's the biggest change. I think that's yeah, and I think that the woman can maybe make better wines than male. What do you think, Charla?
I'm not getting that comment.
Very good. Maybe a little bit about the lineup that you produce, because it's not the same every vintage, especially on the single varietals. But in front of us, you have the two flagship wines, and then there is a low profile. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you tend to produce every vintage.
So what the vintage gives me, so our wines every year will not be exactly the same percentages, and that's why we don't even put the percentages on the back label. You like the wine, that's what the best of that vintage gave us. So Y21, Chenin Blanc, Viognier, Roussanne in the first vintage that we've added Verdelho, 8% of Verdelho, and I just think it kind of steers it in such an austere, focused direction. Red 17 or red blend, and this is 17's vintage. This was Syrah, Mourvèdre, Touriga, Trincadeira, and a little bit of Cab. And yeah, these are the two focus wines, and basically barrel selected, so best ones go into this wine. And then the more easier drinking or easier to understand barrels that still come from these low yielding bush vines go into the low profile. So this is kind of like the second barrel selection. So first barrel selection, second barrel selection. This also sometimes we would add all the younger varieties, so Grenache, Tempranillo, Malbec, that's not going into the flagship yet. We put it in here to kind of see, okay, where is this going? How does it influence the blend? So, yeah.
Very good. And Martijn, you take a lot on stock. I mean, what's available depending on the volume. Sometimes with the single varietal is obviously very low volumes, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about why you already told why the choice that you made to have Sijnn in the portfolio with the different wines that they produce and the two blends.
Yeah, for me it was if we look what we are looking for with Smaragd is wines for gastronomy. So we need a wine where the sommelier can work with the dishes. So we need, in a certain way, we prefer organic produced wines, organic soils, wines during vinification without any additions that forbid sulfur, some other small nutritions to work the wine. Because if you make a natural wine, you get vinegar. So there's a discussion, but for us it's pure wines, and they contain quite a good concentration. And now autumn season is starting, I think today, because it's raining all day, getting colder, so these wines work really well, the reds, in this period until April, May mostly. And for me it's like low profile, that's it's value for money. It's a lot of wine for the price you pay. And I think when the vine gets older and there's more experience in the cellar, these wines get better. So even it's called low profile, for me it's, if you look to the price value, or high profile.
Definitely, we totally agree.
Yeah, that's fun. And the addition for the varieties, that's something really like. I still remember we had the 13 case, so you made a mixed batch of 5 bottles. That was the 5 grape varieties that was blended to the wine. So we had the wine we tasted, and in those days the wines were way more powerful and oak dominant. And now if you pop a Grenache or a Syrah, it's almost that Northern Rhone influence, and that's a style we like to drink. The more pure it gets, the better we like to drink it. That's
very good. So Charla, maybe 1 or 2 last questions. First of all, last year, Young Winemaker of the Year by Tim Atkin. I see you smiling, but what did that change for you? This is always a nice question to ask.
I put up my salary, asking for signatures now, changed my car.
You get recognized in Amsterdam. Strangers. It's incredible.
I think it was I really like the title Young. That was very nice to stick in that title.
Very complimentous.
But I think, working at a place that's this isolated and working really hard, soils and in the cellar and everywhere. I think I needed a confident boost, and that was a confident boost for me. And so now I just feel so much more comfortable also doing things, and not in a vain way at all, more just like, Okay, good. It's been, and I don't think it's necessarily me. I think, you know, it's the wines and it's been recognized. So, yeah, and it's teamwork. I mean, I'm not the only one working there. So there was a big team behind it. So, yeah, I think nothing has changed. But I think personally, I've just now, yeah, I just feel cool. I'm so glad someone has noticed that we are doing, except for Martijn, he always notices.
Yeah, Martijn was there from the beginning, so.
Yeah, so it's nice to, yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's someone's opinion. It's not everyone, but it's still, I think, an opinion that's very well rated. And yeah, you know, for an international palate to taste our wine, I think that's something that's. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of influence in. I was in La Rioja last week. There's a report.
Yeah.
We tasted the wine from the Young Winemakers of the Year as well, and it was seriously good. So,
yes, exactly. No, so he knows his stuff, and so that's
If you would have gotten the award from somebody, then Tim would be the best choice, I would say as well.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And then the last question, your own wines, because we don't have them on the table, but you do have some other projects going on.
They're super rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, David is amazing and he gave me the opportunity to make wines from day one. He was actually one who pushed me to do these things. So, and I think that's quite rare, you know, you don't want, or, you know, as an owner, I wonder always like, where's the limits? And so he's given me limits and I'm very happy with it. And so I get to get some grapes from Sijnn, which I love. Malgas, obviously, it's my home. But I am starting to buy in a bit of interesting things from down the coast. And yeah, it's called Charla Wines, and I think the Dutch like the fun Haasbroek and they can relate to it. Yeah, and just a white and a red, so Chenin Blanc, and then the reds, I've played a bit with Trincadera, a bit of Grenache, a bit of Syrah, so yeah, but I'm definitely starting to focus more on it, and I think I should, you know, I like making wine.
The new red, the Prince of Peace, is maybe one of the most beautiful labels I've seen lately. So that's
Thank you. Yeah,
really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now you just need to be sure that you get some here.
Don't worry.
We never forget.
Very good.
And then also just Martijn has been from day one, and I think that's amazing. And the only person that I've worked from literally from that I started. I showed him the picture earlier of in the Cape with I still had like an old shirt around my head with goggles and everything. And so he's seen us in the best and the worst times, and I think that's. Kudos to someone who is spreading the word so well.
That's good. It's beautiful to see the chemistry between the two of you. And I mean, in the end, it's a business relationship, but here you can see it's also very much a personal relationship. And you're on the same page very much. So thank you guys for the time. And thank you for the beautiful wines. And we hope to see and taste more of it in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.